All right, so we have like I don't know, a little over 90 minutes for this video. We're gonna do some more bare metal Kubernetes co-learning. We still need to do a little bit of planning. We did a lot of planning last night, um, and we decided that we need to start splitting the learning path up, and kind of based on the certifications. So, uh, revisiting what to do, what to learn, right? What to what to learn. So I so Monday I'll have the IRL rig, and why does that matter? Because I'm going to be, as I talked about last night a lot, or last time we did this, I am going to be doing a lot of hardware. I'm going to be doing nothing but hardware probably between now and December. I have a lot of hardware to set up, a lot of infrastructure to set up, and I'm a little bit afraid of losing the time. So if we go back to the calendar, let me show you the calendar really quick. So this is, again, just so the beginning is kind of the outline of what we're going to cover, and the end is kind of the summary of what we covered. So if you just want to jump to the beginning or end, that should help you. I'm going to pull up the calendar here. So let me kind of hide some stuff in my calendar. I don't want you to see everything. So here we go. Here's the calendar. And by the way, this calendar is in the extension on the About page on rbxrob.tv. If you go there, if you go to the About section. And there's a link to it if you're on mobile, because it doesn't show extensions in mobile, I found out. Anyway, so what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking of making Friday the CKAD day. So I'm going to actually do something here. I'm thinking about moving the Sunday AMA. I mean, we had, let's see, let's go to next week. That'll be easier. Okay. So we do have an AMA in the morning. I kind of think we should keep that. I feel like okay. So what are the areas, right? Well, I think there's two major areas. To tell you the truth, I'm not super excited to co-learn with you and maybe to get a job with Kubernetes. You do it, Victor. Thank you for joining. Yeah. I mean, you can't. You know what? So I had a very qualified person tell me today, you don't even need to know all of Kubernetes to get a job as Kubernetes. You just need to have the infrastructure stuff, which again is the reason I want to pull up the amount of content that's involving hardware, the kind of stuff that Het covers. So Het Tanis, if you haven't followed him, HET, let me give you a thing. If you haven't followed Het Tanis, you should follow him. He has a lot of good, sysadmin, SRE kind of jobs. And I have an SRE recruiter who calls me every month wanting people to send to him. So based on that, I think what I'm going to do is first of all, most of my free time, these are the things that are like streams. This digital nomad streamer stuff, that's going away. I don't need to do it anymore. You know why? Because I'm just going to get it. I'm just going to go running with my camera, and I'm going to try to stream that. And that's going to be the extent of IRL, except for the hardware. We're going to be working on a lot of hardware and putting it together and refurbishing old stuff and putting Linux on it and all of that stuff. Every single thing. So that's going to be kind of dominating this channel. I'm just going to warn you right now. So this channel, at least for the next 2 months, if not more, is going to be dominated with hardware configuration and operations, infrastructure setup, site reliability engineering, all of the stuff that is the basis for Kubernetes. And if you haven't watched the video, Dennis actually plugged it again. He really liked it. I did a video, what are the prerequisites for Kubernetes? So make sure you watch that. But all of that stuff that's prerequisites for Kubernetes, we're going to be kind of implicitly doing that as we prepare to do the CKA stuff, which is harder than the CKAD as far as I'm concerned. We need to do Helm charts and stuff though, so that's like sit down at the desk and do something, right? So where am I going with this? What I'm trying to say is, I think that on Friday we should probably change this. So I'm going to change this stuff here. This and all following events. So I'm going to go ahead and where's today? I'm going to delete this. Yeah, you can go to the self-following events. So we're gonna go ahead and change this. We're gonna put um, we're gonna put this Kubernetes day. I'm gonna qualify. I'm gonna call it. Uh, we'll call it uh, CKAD Colearning. Okay, and that's Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. Okay, so that's um, you know it's not following. Okay, so that means the Helm, how to make an application for Kubernetes, the developer stuff, right? And I understand it's actually easier to learn the developer stuff than the CKA stuff. And unfortunately, this means we're not going to have a CKS. Actually, I think it's probably important that I skip the CKS focus right now uh, until I get the CKAD stuff down, and then I get the CKA stuff down. So actually, as a goal, I'm going to do this. I'm writing about this. So yeah, visiting what to learn. So focusing on CKAD on Fridays. Okay, I mean, I'm going to be doing a lot of this stuff during the week, but the absolute scheduled times where it has to be done, and I guarantee, promise you, it'll always be the same thing, unless my wife has a date or a gallery showing or something like that. That's what Friday. So and CKD is the first one I need to get. So that one is guaranteed because work literally gives you half the afternoon off for that kind of thing. So okay, and then I'm gonna say that I'm focusing on CKA on Saturdays. And the reason I need to do this is because this Saturday I'm gonna have a lot more time. And I'm gonna need the time because I'm gonna be like crimping cables and stuff like that. Part of me actually wants to get the Linux systems administrator at the same time, just to help y'all like know it. What do you guys think of that? Because you kind of have to have the equivalent experience of a Linux. Here, let me show you the Linux Foundation. Again, you guys know my feelings on certificates. I usually don't think you need them, but it is something that is out there. We're not doing CompTIA under any, so LPI, we're not doing that. So the Linux Foundation has a series, and I kind of want to go through the certifications from here, mostly as a way for people to break in and kind of cover the content, Um, so, I mean, it's an expensive certificate, but, I can definitely see how, yeah. So, yeah, all right. Um, okay. We could go accept yes. Now, they have a free introduction to Linux certification that I started going through, and I like, ugh, it like takes to us. I think we probably should add that back. And why am I going with the certificates all of a sudden? Why don't I do my own thing? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is there's already a great amount of energy being expended to keep this material up, to maintain it. I probably can't say which thing, but I'm sort of informally being asked to review some of this content. And I feel like rather than having like a diverting path, I'm still going to do like the badges and all this stuff. I'm going to still do it. Don't worry. But by getting, stepping up and getting behind a couple industry wide recognized certificates, I think that even though I kind of don't like certificates in general, that it's at least 50% relevant to you getting a job because at least 50% of I'm guessing of the companies are going to be like, oh yeah, you have a certificate and you were, a fry cook before, right? So you can talk about what you did, but I don't want you to just I don't want people to just get the certificate. I want them to get, show that they've got a Linux cluster running in their house and stuff like that. So I actually believe that we might not just have to focus on CKA. CKA actually fundamentally depends on a system administrator possibility as well. So Linux Foundation Certified Administrator. The engineer is really a tough one to get. This one's like, So Linux networking and administration. Explore the full catalog. Oh, this is their training. Yeah, we don't need this. Linux Security Fundamentals, Linux Certified Sysadmin. They actually have another one, but I think this is probably the most important certificate. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to put this in here. So what is it? LFCS. So there's an LPIC 1 and 2, LFCS, and I'm going to put LFCS here. And I may very well go for the LFCS, which would really be funny if I didn't get it. I was talking about this yesterday. I might actually not get it because Linux, like SC Linux, I fucking hate SC. Oops, I swore. I hate SC Linux. It's like horrible, but I know it's on the exam. So there's probably a bunch of stuff that's coming to the Linux exam that I don't know, and so I need to learn it. And there's no better way to learn Linux than put every type of Linux there is, you know, inside of your own cluster at home on Mac Minis and Raspberry Pis. So I'm going to be doing the content for LFCS as well as CKA. CKA kind of comes in after the LFCS stuff, but like setting up network boot and doing your network engineering, all that. It's all very much Linux system admin stuff. And I love that they still call it a Linux system administration. They don't call it SRE stuff. So, so Linux, what? Oh, that's all. I want to filter on. I only want certificates. I don't want training. No training, please. No training. I just want certification. Do I have to click something else? Corporate subscription? No, fuck no. What the hell? Oh, here we go. So yeah, and this what? Oh, I've heard this is a doozy. I probably would not qualify for this one. This has got everything like RAID 5 and mounts and links. Yeah, this is really advanced and awesome to get. I kind of want to get it. This is the thing about certificates, right? They feed your ego. They make you feel like you're advanced, right? You don't have any proof that you're advanced. You think you're advanced because the certificate said so, and that can be dangerous, right? It can also be good because it improves your confidence. It also proves to some other people that don't test you, that what's up. So the Linux Foundation Certified IT Associate, this is actually brand spanking new, and I'm having a hard time with this one because this one is, I've actually also made an IT associate path, and my IT associate path, I guarantee you, is not the same as this. But if you wanted to break into the industry, you could do nothing more than get Linux Foundation certificates and build clusters and stuff at home, and you could get a job like that. I guarantee it. Guaranteed, because that's how I got my job. I didn't even have a certificate. They made me a system administrator over a Fortune 500 company, and because I ran the mail server at home and set my own up with SendMail, I ended up being the designated SendMail person because they fucked around with it and no one else had. And they didn't even test me on it. They said, has anybody here got experience? I said, yeah, I play around with it at home. They go, boom, you're our new guy. Because they didn't have anybody else. It was in the news again last night. The last month has been full of news about companies taking on the responsibility for training people because nobody else is. And the companies can't find people. So this last time it was Microsoft this time. Microsoft just announced this huge focus on educating people. So all of the big companies this last month, and it must be because of GitHub University. I think because GitHub University started this month, all these other big companies are jumping on the bandwagon and they're like, we are going to teach people stuff because nobody can do the job and we can't make any money until they do. So now is a great time to get in on this kind of thing. When you first started learning, those YouTubers didn't do me justice. Yeah, and I'm guilty too. I mean, I did the whole boost stuff, and I think that gets you to a certain point, have a very specific flavor of it. My flavor of Linux training is container-based, so that when you go into the other stuff, I kind of feel like, I don't know. I feel like that I think I'm kind of, I'm having a thought here. I wonder if we need another day that's beginner based, that is based on one of these tracks, and then we just supplement one of these tracks. And I know that the Linux, yeah, I think that's what's needed. I don't know how much time I can give up for that, but it wouldn't hurt to do that. And I could probably pick it up again. I started doing a series on the Linux Foundation gives away a free one, edX, and everybody should probably do it. But it's like, God, it took so fucking long to get through it. And I was like, um, so engineer's a tough one. What is this one? Oh, the Japanese version. And that shows you something. Certified system. The reason I like the Linux ones from the foundation is because they're lab based, and the LPIC ones are multiple choice. So that's the fundamental reason for that. Um, so on Sundays, I wonder if we should have just a Linux beginners thing. Now, eventually, I'm going to need to put CKS in here. So I'm going to push off CKS until 2022. Okay. Now, some of you may have been wanting that, but let's go ahead and push that one off. We don't really need that one right away. Does that make sense? So yeah, I don't think we need the CKS for right now. I don't. Which means that focusing on the beginner stuff, right? So and I actually want to do this. The problem I'm struggling with is I don't know whether to. You know what we could do? We could actually combine my boost preparation with the certificate so that if you go through the boost, you can say you got the boost credential and you can say you got the Linux certificate. Does that make sense? You can get done without programming language 2 for scripting. I don't think so. You have to know Bash. Yeah, you have to know Bash. If you as of this moment, if you go through the boost for 2021, that at least lays out what I think the requirements are. Now, we don't get to networking, and we don't get, other than to describe home networking, and we don't get to Vim and links and tmux and stuff, because at that point I was like, those are kind of optional, but Bash is not. The Unix philosophy is not. Knowing how to make a filter, knowing how to write a script, knowing how to make a command line that can do for loop. They're one of the reasons I have exceptions with some of these certificates is they don't require that. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. If you can't code in shell, you are not a Linux sysadmin. The end. If you think you are, forget it. And that's not even enough. I think you should at least understand how to read C, because all the syscalls are C. So if you do strace, which is a Linux advanced certificate, it's kind of an engineer thing. But if a program is going crazy and you don't know where it's hanging, right? You need to be able to strace that thing and read this dumps, which are in C. They're system calls. You need to understand system calls, and system calls are written in C. If you can't read C, you should be able to write C. But more importantly, you need to be able to read C to be able to interpret what an flock or fdisk write is and all this other stuff. All of these system calls are written in the language of C. So you can't be an advanced, debugger. That was my job. I was level 3 support near the end there at IBM, where I was doing core dump analysis and things like that. And if you don't, I happen to be kind of the good pick there on our team, because I was a developer who had C experience and also a sysadmin. So I could interpret what was happening in this broken C code and then put it. And that, by the way, that is the core skill of hacking. The core skill of hacking is making something dump and then figuring out why it dumped, finding that memory error, and making a 0-day exploit that goes after that. So all of these skills also relate to, true, like low-level 0-day discovery hacking, forensics and shit, which I love if I were going to go into security. So what I'm trying to get at here is I don't need it, but it probably wouldn't hurt me to review all of the beginner-based things as some other organization thinks that is, if for no other reason than to be able to offer my input to it. So I actually, full disclosure, I am actively seeking to become a Linux Foundation, a Cloud Native Foundation, CNCF Foundation active member at some point. and to help as much as I can. I never want to become a patsy or a shill for anything, and I'm going to be remaining, arm's length away from them so I can call out shit when I see it, and I will. I will. Um, but if I can combine my efforts for education with the efforts of an organization that's got deep pockets like this, as well as all of these other companies that are like starving and panicking to get help, who are also throwing gobs and gobs of money into education. If I can kind of like, join forces there, then I think we might be able to get more people, change their lives, frankly. Learning these skills is an overnight life changer when you get the job. I mean, it really is. I mean, even to a guy like me, when I got this job, I went, I went from making a humble salary as my own entrepreneurial tech skills person to somebody making, you know, 5 times that in money and with insurance included. And it just right overnight, I was able to do things like buy a GoPro with like one click and go, okay. Because, it just empowers you so much. You can just do so much with it. And if you like it, I mean, you got to like it, right? In texture, it's not it's not. I mean, you can do the one person, the island kind of approach, but it's like, so this little blurb brought to you by the CNCF Foundation. No, they wouldn't have me, man. I'm too politically incorrect. They probably want arm's length, from me too. Yeah, we know of that dude. Yeah, he does a lot of good things for Linux and a lot of other shit that we don't approve of officially as an organization, including all the F-bombs and yeah. I mean, just basic Linux system administration skills will easily net you $100K a year. I know this because I've placed people in those jobs. I've placed people in junior engine administrator jobs for $100K plus, and all they knew was Go and Linux. That was it. They knew how to do Go and Linux, and they actually on the side like to play with Rust in one case. I've done it, and these people are screaming. Linus does. Yes, that's true. This is very true, Kangas. Thank you for that vote of encouragement. So, I mean, and he's the other reason I'm attracted to the Linux Foundation is because Linus Torvalds is a founding member of the Linux Foundation. This is where he's decided to throw his weight into my path. Yeah. So, I I've placed interns who then went on to get full-time employment at 16 to 18. Gabe was here the other day. He'll tell you. And then they got their own, he was given his own intern from college. It was so awesome. He was the go-to guy for architecture and Python and everything. Our whole system was in Python, and which is why you still have to learn it. And I will never forget that. He came in and goes, yeah, they gave me an intern today. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. He's like 17 and he had his own intern. Oh, that was funny. I love it. I can tell that story forever because it's just so cool. And they're like, and then he went off to college and the company was like, give us somebody else. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have anybody else. And they're like, what? So again, that's why I'm here. It's a flex a little bit. I am super proud of what I've done. I mean, and I have to take stock of that. So why am I talking about it? Because I'm talking about adding a full day, or at least focus, if you want to call it that, on beginner content again. But it won't be specifically Boost. What I really think we should do, what I'm feeling like right now, and I'm open to have your input, is it totally pays off. You're self-taught and started with Linux when I was 16. Now I'm 39 and my career is based on system and cloud. There you go. I mean, if you want to change your stars, that quote from A Knight's Tale, one of my favorite movies of all time, learn tech. I mean, you might not like it, but it's better than waiting tables, right? Or flipping burgers, and then figure out what you want to do with life. And chances are technology is going to facilitate whatever you want to do. You could be saving raptors in North Carolina. And true story, I had the guy come to me, walk in my door, and it's like, do you have techies who can help us? We're setting up a system for Raptor tracking, and I need people who know tech and coding and electronics. No kidding. So if you want to be outdoors all day, you want to be Ranger Rick or whatever, you know, there's technology involved. You know, not to mention live streaming. If you want to live stream your canoe trips and adventures, you need to know tech. You need to know being able to set up a server to do an SRT stream like these cyclists have done has allowed them to save thousands of dollars a year because they knew the technology. So it's never bad to learn tech. It's always good to do it and then layer it into, like my grandpa said, don't just learn to code, learn an industry and learn to code for that industry. Which is why when people say, what's your favorite language? It's like, well, it depends on what your industry is, right? If you're into 3D modeling and you know, Hollywood and that kind of thing, you know, Maya is all Python and I think Lua. So it just depends. So I think, start with Linux. Let's see what else. Any other comments here in tech? Your path is never finite. You can always change it, learn new things, find out. Plus, when you learn tech properly, you kind of absorb the skills of an autodidact, which makes you powerful in anything you choose to do. You can't get into technology without learning how to learn, like really effectively, and setting forward a plan, which is what I'm doing right now. So otherwise, you'll fail. Kanga says, one thing I'll never understand is the majority of the millennial generation could probably walk onto a help desk support job making $30K a year and learn more to further their career doing it just from growing up learning to use and troubleshoot basic Wi-Fi issues. Yeah, absolutely. Like the A+, yeah, the A+ cert. So this is where I'm kind of pausing on this particular bullet point. These all are ones because this is common market and it does the numbering for you. So the reason I'm pausing is because I have been, as far as beginners go, I guess I kind of want to combine the A+. And you know what? I hate LPIC and I hate the A+ certificate, but it is you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm doing theirs. The LFs, they have one called Certified IT Associate. I have a feeling it's way better than A+. I mean, what would you rather hire? Somebody who has a CompTIA A+ multiple guest test or someone who has a certified IT associate test from the Linux Foundation? Which one would you hire? Is it neither? I would hire the one who does it in their spare time and can demonstrate it. And I say, yeah, well, that's given. So, but if you had to go by nothing but paper, which one would you go with? I think it would be certified IT associate. So I'm gonna. This is a relatively new degree, by the way. New certificate, LFCA. And some of you are like, why is this guy so into certificates? And go watch my Why Certify video. It's literally called Why Certify. It's an hour-long video that talks about when to certify and when not. And that answers that question like very well. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It depends on your search situation, depends on the career, etc. I'm doing this because these are some really solid entryways. You know, you can't be somebody flipping burgers who goes, you know, and applies in the resume and sticks their resume for a Linux job with nothing on it. You know, they're gonna like, this guy's working at McDonald's. Why does he think he can be a Linux engineer? What are you gonna put on there? So then you put under your personal projects thing like maintain Linux cluster at home, doing this. I mean, you can put all those really awesome things under your personal projects or personal experience, which by the way, never underestimate the power of your personal projects section. In fact, most people I've found they'll skip over the education and stuff and they'll go straight to your personal projects because they want to see what you're passionate about. And they will jump right to that. Now, if there's like big gaps in your resume or there's you know, there's significant contradictory things in there, they're going to want to know about that. But people leave out personal projects from their resume all the time. And it is a huge mistake because those are the things that show what you're passionate about and that show what you want to learn on yourself, particularly if you're self-trained. But if you combine that with a piece of paper that's front and center, that you say certified Linux, you know, Linux certified IT associate, right? That is literally the name, right? So LFCA, Linux Foundation Certified IT Associate. If you say LFCA and you put that like right in your first paragraph, that's going to catch people's attention. And then they go, ooh, you know, I don't know if I buy into this argument, but I'm going to share it anyway. A lot of people think that if you have um, that if you get a certificate, it shows you went the extra mile and that you're committed to learning. And I think that's bullshit. I think you can demonstrate that you're committed to learning without the certificate, but the fact that so many people, I have read that so many times at this point, that hiring people, HR and managers, they've probably bought into it, which means if they see a certificate, they think erroneously, in my opinion, that you are better than the others because you have demonstrated the extra gumption, this is 1940s word, to go the extra mile and get to finally to work through to get the certificate and prove you're not just a garage expert, which they'll still hire. I'm proof, living proof. So is Victor Pitt. There's like tons of people in the chat right now, proof of that you don't need any certificate at all to get a great job. But to the people who have bought into that kind of thinking that's been marketed to them by the certificate people, it's just an extra thing in your favor. It's not lying. It's like, hey, yeah, I this is the real reason you want to hire me, is all this experience that I have in my first, I made TuckZone and I built my own computers in my garage and I'm managing my own DNS and I run my own mail server. I don't use Proton Mail or Gmail. I run my own mail server at home and I have my own DNS server. Oh my God. Right. And they'll be like, what? You're running your own DNS server? Nobody does that. I do. That kind of, I don't do any of that, by the way, anymore. I just got it all out of my system. It's just probably why I need to do it again. And which is, I'm going to get to do that because I'm going to install Core DNS and a bunch of other things in the cluster. That's another reason to do a home-based hardware cluster. So, but they're going to want to see all that. But then if they also have a piece of paper with a really awesome acronym you can put in the front of your, front and center on your resume, then that's going to land you the job. Bind and Shroot, who does that anymore? Yeah. And it's shoved into because I'm hiring, have a piece of paper. You need one too. Yeah. That is definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. That's actually a thing for college too. And it's also a thing for whiteboard interviews. I mean, I've read the words from a guy who was a web developer at Google who wrote this huge blog about how to pass the Google, shitty test practices. That's all going to change, by the way. All of this drought in IT is really going to affect those hiring practices. I promise you. I'm going to make a prediction. Lucenti gives me shit for being a prophet sometimes. I'm going to make a prediction right now. All right. So on October 29th, I predict that within 5 years, the whiteboard interview will be a thing of the past. It will be completely abolished, and that Google and the companies that do it will be shamed into compliance because right now, as has been demonstrated by the press all over the place, all of the big FANG companies are getting on board to train people the way they want them because they're training people. They're going to train. So what's going to happen is the competition, the people who do their own training and they create their own internship programs and their own onboarding systems, like Bloomberg has been doing for years. These companies are going to win, and they're going to win the tech talent. And there's going to be competition between companies that is not just between FANG companies. And it works too. It's going to be between companies all over the world who can't get tech talent. And so the GitHubs of the world who created GitHub University, do you think that GitHub has a whiteboard interview? If they do, it's been supplemented by the people who go through the university project and then get placed with mentors within the company and then get kind of a soft pedal higher, interview without the whiteboard interview. I'm going to predict that the hard and fast, everybody just has to do it because I did it. And that's where this thought came from. Somebody suggested if I got the piece of paper, and you better damn well get a piece of paper. Otherwise you can't come in here. Right? No, that's not any basis for hiring. And it's not in the best interest of the company and the financial best interest of the company. The bottom line, good old greed is going to correct the system, because what's going to happen, same way it's corrected the system with electric cars. Good old greed has finally got us electric cars because the companies aren't making the money, and it's the same thing. So the companies that create hiring practices and training programs and who appeal to the needs of intelligent people who don't have $250,000 to waste on a college career and then figure out some way to learn whatever it is to pass the fucking whiteboard interview. those companies who actually respond to the people who have the skill and the intelligence to do this, they're going to win. And those companies are going to win, and it's going to shame the crap out of the ones that are left behind. Probably Google will be the last one. Google will probably be the last company to fold. Microsoft has already folded. Microsoft doesn't have a whiteboard interview anymore, as far as I know. And Amazon is kind of softening up on that, and they're offering their training for free. And Google's got this whole internal training thing, but they still have that stupid ass whiteboard interview going on. Facebook's going to continue to do it for the longest amount of time because they think that they can get away with it, and they're just going to die. They're already becoming a footnote with this whole metaverse shit, which is just funny. It's amazing to watch what happens when a company starts to really die. Facebook is so dead, and yeah, it's so dead. This is what happens when a panicked company that everybody hates, that has got everything. So, do you think they're going to change their hiring practices? Probably not. Maybe when it's too late. But the companies who do figure this out, and there's already a lot of them that do. There's entire recruiting agencies that will only work with companies who actually have human measures of success and ability to hire. And those companies are going to win, and they're going to shame the other companies. And so the idea of a whiteboard, a hard and fast whiteboard interview, all or nothing kind of interview, is going to die. It's going to die. Not to mention the fact that it's probably illegal, because there are people, I've worked with tons of people with different forms of autism, and not a single one of those people would pass an interview like that. But you would be a fool to not hire them. I mean, you would be one of the stupid ass fools to not hire these people. But if you stick one of these Asperger's people in front of a whiteboard like that, and they don't perform because they're being put into that kind of situation, you know what I mean? It's like they would fail. So there you go. Yeah. I'm not involved in the tech industry at all. What a whiteboard. What's a whiteboard interview? A whiteboard interview is where they have you talk out loud while you're standing in front of a whiteboard, and they give you really, really crazy esoteric things like write a binary sort and tell us why you're doing it, right? It's supposed to test your ability to think through a problem. And if you really care about that, you can buy the totally shilling book. It's for $60. It's different every year, that called Preparing for the Coding Interview. What is it? I have it over here somewhere. So I'm just going to make that prediction. Cracking the coding interview. Yeah, that's the one. Hey, Black Mouse. So yeah, there's a lot of people who don't like that prediction, but that's it. Including this person telling me to fuck off. Which is kind of funny. Focusing on LFCA, there's a lot of people are going to get really angry by this disruption. They already are. I mean, there's a lot of people who did a lot of painful stuff to get the jobs that they have in these companies now. And and so what's going to end up happening is they're going to get really pissed. They're going to get really pissed because Microsoft's going to start pampering people and like bringing them in. And companies like that, they're going to start pampering them and helping them and training them and like coddling them into their company because they can't get anybody. They can't get anybody. And so it's either that or the company dies. And we're already seeing this. GitHub University is a direct response to this need in the industry. It's a direct response to this. And Wall Street Journal doesn't report lightly on the biggest drought in history for a specific set of tech skills, i.e. cloud native. So anyway, hi Rob. Hey, Cypheric was listening in the background. Yep, the great IT exodus is coming. Quarantine number 1. Yeah. Let's see. My copy of Expert C, Deep Sea Secrets arrives today. Yeah, I think C is required. That's why nobody's going to teach C. So that's one of the ways I can supplement it. So what is the takeaway from all of that jabber? We're going to work on, probably on Sundays, we're going to focus on the LFCA, which is beginners. I think Sundays is probably the best day, right? I think even hardcore Christians and Mormons could justify learning on Sunday. What do you think? I've had people complain because we do stuff on Sundays, and I get it, because when I was Mormon, I was so angry that they did all the run, all the good marathons and runs and stuff were on Sunday and triathlons, and I was like, I can't do it on Sunday because I'm a Mormon. Sunday school with Rob. Actually, we'd never want to conflict with Penn Teller's Sunday school. I forgot about that. So Penn Teller, Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette. Penn Jillette does a Sunday school Twitch stream, which is amazing. Gives me goosebumps. I want to make sure everybody is watching that. In fact, I'm probably going to start putting it on my own schedule. I'm not going to be streaming it. I can't do that, but I want to make sure people. I don't. It's on different channels every time. I can't lock down the channel. I'm going to watch really carefully this Sunday. Penn Jillette's a fucking genius. I mean, he at every level of he's just amazing. And he failed an interview recently because I couldn't solve some relatively simple JS algorithm shit. Yeah, just to get a few months raise salary for my current job. First wipe every ever, and won't tell you a lot about any candidate. Absolutely, Tower Mind. And you know what? Actually, intelligent people understand this. I don't know why this thing's still there. I don't know why it's still there. Smart people get this. So the only reason these leftover shitty measures of success are still there is for some other reason than being an intelligent, scientifically proven measure of success, because it's not that. That's been overwhelmingly demonstrated. And so the only reason they're left is because of, I think, probably this resentment, or they think there's this hubris within these companies that think that they can pull this off. And they're like, oh, well, if you really want to work for us, then yeah, we know it's probably illegal and it's ineffective. But the people that are willing to go through this shit, man, they're dedicated. They are so dedicated, and we want them. So that's, I imagine that's the idea behind why Google still has it. But you know what? That's going to go away. When Google can't find anybody to work there, and when people make jokes about Google being freshman year before they leave and do something that actually matters, which is exactly the sentiment in Silicon Valley, Google is like, oh, Google's like college. You go to Google, really smart people go to Google, they stay there for a year and a half, and then they leave and they start amazing startups with their own venture capital and do crazy ass things. This is the sentiment in Silicon Valley about Google. That is 100% what it's like. So if Google doesn't wake the fuck up and realize that they can't pull this, this hubris, like, oh, everybody's going to always be sticking their face against our hermetically sealed happy town to try to get in and work here. They keep trying to make it like really, really exclusive and everything. That's not going to fucking work anymore, especially in a droughted IT environment. You know who's going to knock it out of the park? The GitHubs. The GitHubs who watch GitHub Universe. It's all about making it appealing and pleasurable, and learning is fun. And you get people on Twitch, they're like, joining in to do it. Those are the place. Where do you think the people are going to go? They're going to go there. They're not going to go to Google. They don't give a shit about Google or Facebook or any of these other super overly proud companies. I hope to be gone by the end of the year. Somebody from Google just says, I hope to be gone by the end of the year. See, and they just confirmed. That's really great that you would say that, Kagus. Thank you for that. Thank you for that confirmation. There's obviously no way I can prove that that person works for Google, but it's exactly what it's like. You go to Google, you go there to get the skills and get the Google, I worked for Google on your resume, and then you leave. Or you bury yourself in the sand someplace in the corner and just do your work and keep your nose clean, which is what Rob Pike does. The Bell Lab refugee. That's Brian Cantrell's term. I love that. It's the same thing, only hiring seniors. If nobody hires entry level, where do you get seniors from? Yeah, exactly. So the whole thing is changing. The whole atmosphere to our benefit is changing. And this conversation has all been triggered by this focusing on the LFCA and some of the beginner skills for this kind of thing. And becoming an old git for religious nowadays, other than some pearls of wisdom, go and see the world, Lords of Goldball. It's like Farrick. There's just two kinds of people. Ones who feel perfect in large enterprises like Google, and others who prefer another environment. Yeah, this is pretty true. So LFCA and I'm going to say the beginner boost. Actually, and I'm going to call it my I don't know if I'm going to call it RWX Rob or if I'm going to call it RWX. I haven't been able to figure out what to call this one yet. The RWX IT Associate, which is my title. That's the beginner boost stuff. If you finished all the beginner boost stuff that I have for you, and I haven't got it finished yet, at least I haven't got it ported over yet, then I would consider you could give yourself the IT associate open credential. This is an Occam's thing. So open credential merit system, Occam's. Yeah. Because of the light workload and good salary. Yeah. You've met people, Tower says, I've met people who would pass whiteboard shit easily, yet they are not good at their job. And the only way around that, I don't have any way to answer how interviews should be exactly. Yeah. I think that the hard part is, we could talk about it. In fact, let's make that a Sunday topic. So on Sundays. So Sundays is beginner day, basically. So Sunday, so let me go back to the calendar. And that's good. I mean, this is more than AMA. Actually, I'm gonna replace the AMA on Sunday with that. So the AMA is designed for beginners, right? But let's actually make it a little bit more structured on Sunday. We'll still keep AMA on Wednesdays and randomly throughout the week, but I'm gonna rename AMA on Sunday to be whatever this is. So we're actually gonna put LF IT associate. How about that? We'll put IT associate. And IT associate is the official title that's kind of agreed upon by everybody in the industry, including IBM. Really old hat kind of term. That means, hey, you're a beginner. You can work at this job. You can make 100+K in this job, but you're still kind of a beginner. 100K, by the way, is pretty much 90 to 110 is pretty much starting salary in IT right now in America. From what I'm gathering, from everything I'm seeing, the job postings and stuff. So you shouldn't be shy going for that kind of money. And then it goes up from there, of course. So, but they want to make sure you. Particularly in systems operations in Linux and infrastructure. Yeah. If you have any cloud experience, the average rate for a CKA is 170. That comes straight from an article that I've listed in my notes. The average pay for somebody doing cloud native administration, which means they have networking, they have more than simple skills in Linux, is 170,000 a year average. So make a huge point. You should ask more as a senior. Yeah. From what I've seen, a sizable portion. Dude, people are leaving all over the place. It's all over in the news right now. COVID and everything has made people reassess what they want to do. Some people are taking less money. Green Jenny, ask her about it. Some people are taking a lot less money to do what they love, and they're just leaving their jobs, and the money isn't the only thing that matters to them. And then others are realizing that there's a huge vacancy in the cloud native world, and they know how to do, Kubernetes administration and architecture, and they're realizing that they can pretty much write their own fucking ticket. I was offered in email by a parent $250K a year. And I had to go through all the passing the tests and vetting, which some of which I probably wouldn't have passed. I ended up not doing it because I didn't want to give up my company at the time, mostly. And that, I would have been flying around giving demonstrations to everybody, doing consulting and everything. And so I know that there is big money in that space, in the IT architecture and space in that kind of area. So you're taking half or less even. Yeah. And so Greg, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can take a lot less, and people are, because they don't need it and because they want to be happy and they want to work for a job that's better. I'm not saying the money is the only thing that matters. But I'm just saying that the new sort of starting salary is more than that. Yeah, brain and hands sitting in the right place could be a good video for AMA. Oh, did you find a good one? My only holdout, I'm putting 2 weeks now, is that my next vested period is November 25th. See, there's somebody who works for Google who's playing their cards right. You got to wait till you get vested and you get those stocks. You get that stock, yeah? And so many people play that game. I don't think I could go for it, man. I couldn't go for it. When I was at Nike, I got vested, and my ex-wife sold the stock. She totally fucked it up. She sold it at the wrong time. We were supposed to transfer the stock over to the next to the next employer, and she cashed it out, and so it fucked up all our stock options. I was so sad about that. But whatever. I also sold Red Hat. I had a ton of Red Hat. I sold that too early on. I don't have any stock now. I played my finances totally incorrectly because yeah, I did. I had a ton of Red Hat in 2000 back in the Fedora days. And if I had held, I should have held it. I should have just held it. Oh my God. It'd be worth so much now. It would be worth so much now. I would probably I would probably not be employed right now if I had held on to that stock, but I didn't. I got rid of it. Because they sold out the internet service provider that I helped start to like a big conglomerate, and we got a ton of money and stock off of that, and it was nice. But then I sold it because I was young and I had 3 kids and I needed the money, and I was stupid. Join the club. so I mean, I'm not proud. I just, not my grandpa. My grandpa was much better with money than me. But I'm not bad with money. I just use it. And plus I don't seek it. Some people say that if you think you're rich, you'll become rich automatically. And that's how celebs and people like recover from like massive bankruptcies, and pretty soon they got millions again, like overnight. I don't know if that's true. It's definitely not me. My wife says, she's really nice about it, but she's like, don't have a poor mentality, like it's a whole manifesting thing. Like, I'm going to be rich, right? I don't like saying those words. I'm already rich. I've got good friends. I got a good family. I've got enough to do IRL streaming, So I'm not aggressively seeking more. I could have. I was right there. I was one of the first people. I remember when Mike Andreessen made a Yahoo bookmarks list out of HTML. And I was like, why would anybody use this? Boom. Venture capital funding came. Now he's one of the biggest venture capitalists in the world. I was there. I could have done it. To feel rich when you grow up poor. Yeah, that's kind of what happened is I grew up really poor. And I was always kind of the richest one in the group because I worked my ass off from the time I was 11 doing paper routes and stuff. And because I wasn't going to have it unless I did. So, yeah. Sorry if this has been asked before, but what do you think of Terraform? You do any videos? No. I have never even used Terraform. I know what it is. I know how it works, but I've never used it. I may actually be doing some Terraform on this hardware, bare metal kind of idea. So let's actually move on. We're just talking a lot here. We talked for almost an hour about planning, but this is super important for me to get straight because I don't want to put stuff in the wrong space. I'm just checking in on work to make sure there's no fires to be put out here. Yeah, because technically I'm still at work here. I just want to make sure. Give me 1 second. It's actually an official thing to be able to work on training on Fridays though. So you got to make sure there's just no emergencies. A lot of companies are like that, by the way. And I'm going to be doing some other work over the weekend that you're not going to see probably because I can't. A lot of the work I have to do, auditing and collecting keeping track of all the apps that are in our namespace infrastructure. That's some stuff I have to do. It's kind of proprietary, so I can show you the organization of the YAML file I'm making for the database to keep track of that information, but I don't know about any of the rest of it. Strong junior because it feels like less likely to get imposter syndrome. Yeah. You'd be surprised. A lot of people, they think that they're juniors and they end up not being juniors at all. Yeah, it's true. So, I'm having a great Friday. Lol. So let's go ahead. Let's finish this up. So we're focusing on LFCA and RWXIT Associate on Sundays. So did I already change it? So this should change for you as well. Starfish. You landed a senior job, still thinking you're a junior. Yeah. Welcome to and Black Mouse is not a junior. There's no way I would ever. The thing is that you always feel like you're a junior. It's like you say you're a senior, but then you're just in the back of your head, your imposter syndrome tells you, yeah, but there's Terraform. I don't know about Terraform yet. I've never used it, so I'm a junior. The Dunning-Kruger thing, right? Well, the Dunning-Krugers, you don't know what you don't know, right? But it's like this is the thing about cloud native is that you saw the landscape, right? There's so much to know that it's really easy for you to convince yourself that you're a junior by finding all the pieces you don't know. I mean, you might be able to like do amazing things, like really amazing things, like totally configure a cluster to run this and understand what hypervisors are and could talk about, but you don't know Terraform, so you feel like you're a junior because you don't know Terraform. That would be me. Or you don't know, you've never set up an ingress yourself in Kubernetes. So I actually had somebody, a member of the cloud native board, tell me that he thought I was advanced in Kubernetes compared to the field. And I was like, oh, I refuse to believe that, but thank you. So you always have that feeling. I actually think it's a good thing. I actually made a video about this. I made a video about this. It's called I Rock, I Suck. It's an old video I made on YouTube. It's called I Rock, I Suck. And it's all about Dunning-Kruger versus imposter syndrome, and how if you're feeling imposter syndrome, it's usually a good thing, because that usually means that you are mentally, you're in the right place, that you're still working hard to learn something else. As soon as you think you know everything, you're screwed. You're just screwed. I'm sorry, you are. You really, you'll find out one way or another, and then you'll go. And the danger of certificates is they make you think that you're all that. You're like the shit. Look at my fancy certificate on the wall. Ooh, I rock. So fake it till you make it, Mac, says the independent contractor without any ties to a company. Yeah, MacGyver's living my dream. He's doing his own thing. He's doing his own thing. He's like, fuck all this organized thing. An interview. When's the last time you had an actual interview for a job? I mean, you have to do interviews all the time to get gigs as a contractor, right, Mac? But you like get to pick. It's like, no soup for you. I'm gonna pick what I want to work on. That's actually ideal. I know two people. Well, three actually. One more. He's a fintech guy. I know of three people who literally have people chomping down their door to get work from them because they're so good, and they're 100% independent, and you know how to manipulate the big companies. And they are so good that they're just free agents, and they have gobs and gobs of work lined up for them. The other guy I met in a pub actually. I met him in a pub, and he was there doing work. I was there coding in the pub in the middle of the day, and I met him, and he had all of his electronics out, and he was doing heat tolerances and things like that. He was doing all embedded C, and I mean, that's, if you know me, then you know that that's the stuff that I was really, really interested in. So these embedded people, Mac's embedded too. These people that are doing embedded electronics and stuff, they're like so far above everybody else that they can like write their own, particularly if they're in the consumer electronics space. They can do whatever they want. And there's contractors that are that way too, right? Like IT consultants and stuff like that. Hey, Greg. It's good to see Greg too. Greg's with us again. All right. So what do we got? We're going to talk about some of the more specifics here. I feel like the first hour has been planning. I feel like it's still important because, we talked about this last night, but I'm going to be really focused on CKAD on Fridays, on administration. So we're going to put cloud development, cloud native development. And so we're going to be making apps and stuff on Fridays. If I could spell, God damn it. And this is administration and engineering. And yeah, admin and engineering. How about that? And engineering. And then this is like beginner, like trying to break in. And then the security stuff we're going to push off until this is specifically cloud security, cloud native security. It's not, your normal like OSCP kind of stuff, which I started the year out doing last year. I was dead set on becoming an OSCP, and then I changed my mind. I mean, there's a lot of great places to work in IT. So if you want to do security, there's a lot of great security streamers, by the way. NahumSec and a bunch of them that are listed in my alternative, streamer stuff. I haven't seen John Hammond's stream for a very long time, but he's a really fun security person to watch. Pushing up CKS security until 2022. I don't have time to focus on that, and frankly, I don't think I really should focus on that until I've got some really solid admin setup. And because when you start talking about roles and resources and everything, you really have to have a solid handle on how all the networking is set up and how the applications are written before you can really jump into CKS. So I'm going to push the CKS off until 2022. Hopefully, I can get the CKAD and the CKA before the end of 2021. I don't know. We'll see. So you hope it gives you hope to be a member of this community. Oh, that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you. For real, I know and who they write software and they're software intellectually. Yes. So MacGyver says, I've never searched actively for a job. Jobs flow to me. It's funny how that works. I feel embarrassed when I hear engineers unable to find gigs. But did you learn what you learned in college? I think the answer is yes, because I'm a Dane. And Denmark rocks. It's like a regular theme with MacGyver. Is like Denmark is the best country in the whole world. And we won't get into that, but and many things it probably is. Yeah. So let's do this. So today is CKAD. So let's for the last 40 minutes here, 50 minutes. Let's do CKAD stuff. Now I'm going to be doing a lot more of this during the rest of the day. I'm just breaking the day up into 2-hour segments and videos or 90-minute, whatever, because I haven't got anything else on the schedule yet because I was trying to decide what to put on the schedule for the rest of today. And I have a feeling I'm going to be adding a CKAD thing again this afternoon because I really want to get into development. And specifically, I'm probably going to be doing the development in Minikube and Kind and not messing with all of my personal KubeADM stuff. In case you didn't catch this from the last video, I'm abandoning my efforts to do host containers in Docker and just use Kind or Minikube for CKAD development. And then I'm going to be building my own hardware cluster over the next month. And you're going to see me walking around this room, this ugly room, apartment room, building out, network stuff and laughing at my network engineering skills and shit, because that's what I'm going to be doing. And actually that's going to probably be the primary thing you're going to see me doing for the next month and a half, because I really, really have to get that cluster up fast, because I need to have it up for at least a couple of weeks for me to test out how to set everything up on it and stuff. Last month. Yeah, and it's not going to be like last miles. Mine's going to be a bunch of Mac Minis and Raspberry Pis and the old MSI Tridents. I actually wrote all about it last night. I went through. So yesterday, the last session before this, if you watch it, is me like itemizing all my hardware and stuff. And I need to draw all that up. But I think we decided to do CKAD on Friday. So we're going to be doing some of that stuff. In between meetings, the manager aggro. I love it. You're the first person who's ever referred to that manager situation as aggro. I love it. I'm adding that to my you know what? I like that you call it. You know what? I'm going to rename my YouTube video. Do you know that video I did about manager suck? I like aggro so much better. It's like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's like, you got to avoid the aggro. Oh my God. It's like so great. That's exactly what it is. Gamers get it. And everybody's a gamer now. Everybody who matters. What did I just say? Oh, it's kind of a joke. Not really. Seriously, if you don't play games now, I don't trust you. There's like something wrong with you. I mean, at least my wife doesn't play any did I say drugs? Doesn't play any games. Same thing. Games, drugs. Give or take a few letters. You're doing your best. Seriously. Yeah, Het's great. It's great to have him here. Het is Het. So Het, Het's gonna be laughing at my hardware skills because I have no hardware skills. I got no hardware game. I mean, I'm a kick-ass coder these days, but when it my hardware game is a little bit light. So people are gonna see like, it's the red one goes there, dumbass. And I'm gonna be looking and try to make my own cables. I refuse to like buy patch cables. I'm gonna make all my own patch cables. It'll take like 2 years. Maybe not. Maybe I'll buy those because I have money now. Not a lot, but enough. Anyway, I'm kind of off topic. And just electric Legos. They kind of are. It kind of is electric Legos. That's a really great way to put it. That is a really great way to put it. So, what let's do? I think this is kind of a nice breaking point for this video. So I'm gonna save this video because it's just been kind of planning and stuff. And I'm gonna start up a new video. And with a new video I start up in like 5 or 10 minutes, is going to be just CKAD stuff. So we're going to be creating an application and doing what it takes to make an application and deciding whether to use Minikube or a Kubernetes cluster up in the cloud, that kind of thing, setting up ingress and all of that. And going through the requirements for the CKAD, including like creating a Helm chart for it and everything. So let's go ahead and put a pause, CKAD. Yeah. I don't know what KiCad is. This is the name of the certificate I'm getting. Is that another certificate? What's KiCad? Mac, is that relevant? I don't know what that is. Don't make me sound stupid. Too late. Too late. So KiCad is a free software suite for electronic design automation. Actually, give me a time. You can't. Okay. Why am I frustrated? I'm frustrated because MacGyver is doing the job I've always wanted to do, but I picked wrong. You've chosen unwisely. I wish I was a computer engineer. I wish I knew all the shit about electronics. I wish I could solder all day and get all those great, lead fumes in my body. I wish I could do all of that. That's a career that I wish I had gone down and I did not. And people say, well, you're not dead yet. I know, but I got to still put food on the table. And I love cloud. But the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to tell you. So this is my, so the next realm for Mr. Rob or Rob, Artie Bakes Rob, after I get like wicked cool in cloud and have reached a point where I was just kind of maintaining, the next thing after that I want to do is embedded Kubernetes, K3OS, micro Kubernetes. And I want to start doing electronics that are we're starting to see this, the rovers and stuff are starting to now consider using Kubernetes for their robotic systems to tie together all their sensors and everything. And that shit, I mean, that just makes me so giddy inside. I want to be able to do that so badly. And I can't, right? Because I don't have the electronic skills. I mean, I love the CAD skills. I was a drafter forever, back when drafting was the thing that people did. And I actually did it with pen and paper and vellum and everything. Embedded as a hobby. Still smuttering embedded as a hobby. Yeah. And I've got tons of embedded stuff, so I can do, but the reason I kind of got frustrated when Mac said it is because I don't like being reminded of this dream I have that I'm not ready to go for yet. People would say, just go for it. Just go straight for it. He tells me that all the time. Just go for it. Just stay independent and just go become. And I'm like, dude, I don't live in, Denmark. I live in America, land of no insurance unless you're working for a huge company. So, it's frustrating me, but I'm sure there's other people that are much more frustrated. Like my new friend in and where I'm blanking on it in, the Philippines, who was a rural farmer and now they're in the tech job because they were watching, and that's like high praise to me. I love that. So all in good time. Don't rush me. Don't rush me. Social mobility is fucking impossible in America. Yeah, I mean true social mobility, not please let's not go there. I don't want to start bagging on my own country. There's a lot of great things about America. Please don't misunderstand people. I love my country. There's just a lot of problems that we've got to fix. Be kind to yourself. And now just spice up your life with KiCad. Oh my God. Cypheric. Cypheric is the king of puns, which is extremely impressive considering his Russian origins. He also streams, by the way. Cypheric, have you streamed lately? You need to stream. You're so fun to watch stream. I love it. And now that I have a phone and I'm watching streamers now, you probably would be streaming at the same time that I watch streamers, which is like 2 a.m. my time. The book, The Art of Electronics. I do not know that book. Don't tell me about electronics. Don't. You're making me FOMA like crazy. My FOMA is overcoming me. I really, really, really want to do that stuff. And I can't. I don't even like saying I can't because I can hear myself talking to myself. It's like, you can do anything, Rob. You just have to set your mind to it, blah, 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 blah. Within reason. You still have to eat and provide insurance for your family, etc., etc. Yeah. Certain supports and uses CKAD for all their electronics team. Oh, because it's great. Mac, you see, stick around, my friend. The Art of Electronics is the Bible of electronics. Stop talking about okay, I have to end the stream now. Give me 10 minutes. I mean, I'm doing all the things you're not supposed to do as a streamer, by the way. So once you get like a high number of viewers, you're supposed to stay around and do things that are going to keep viewer engagement. This is like a word that I ran across. I'm like, fuck that. I'm taking a break. If they're here when I come back, awesome. Sometimes I'm thinking about switching to software development, but then I think, well, I have 10 plus years experience in ops and DevOps. So why should I make development my full-time job when there's other guys with that experience who are doing it? Yeah. And as long as you have enough money, you can do it in your spare time. Like this is another thing too. I've seriously considered going into education or writing, as a full-time job. I'm like, well, why don't I do, the tech job, and then I can still do that. I can still live stream. I can still write. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, right? A wise person from IBM told me once. He goes, Rob, you got to stop getting your sense of purpose from your job. Your job is a job, and I don't know if that's it, or you should only pick jobs that give you a sense of purpose. I don't know which one it is. It's like it might be one of those, but at that time I was like, no, I don't want. This is a big question that we should probably talk about when the campfire's on and everything someplace. Yeah, the French way. It's like you do your job, or the German way, right? The Germans, they're not friends with anybody at work. They go to work and they work, and then they also don't, when they go to school, they don't play soccer or play musical instruments at school. They go to school to learn STEM stuff, and then they have clubs, and the clubs are not a part of the educational system, according to my wife. And they separate everything out. It's like, no, there's a time and a place for everything. You go to work and you do a good job and you enjoy it because it's a good sense of work. But there are many, many jobs. If you're trying to get your sense of purpose and fulfillment from your job, you're probably not doing it right. But you may be. So it's tough, And then they always say, well, hey, if you're doing your job, if your job is the thing that gives you purpose, it stops giving you purpose and motivation anymore, because now it's work. And this is another thing too. This is a very interesting, debatable point. I'm not taking a position on this, but I remember it's kind of like that Forrest Gump thing. I don't know if Lieutenant Dan was right, and that we're all kind of floating around without a purpose, or if my mama was right, that everybody has a purpose. Is it destiny or is it not destiny? It's kind of the same thing. Are you going to get your fulfillment from your job, or are you going to find your fulfillment someplace else and just consider it a job? And I think that you just have to figure out what works for you. It is pretty well reported, though, that specifically the millennial generation, there's a YouTuber who's famous for talking about this, has trouble not finding purpose in their jobs. And so they bounce around a lot to jobs because they're looking for their sense of purpose in their work, and they can't do it unless they feel a sense of purpose in it. So they keep looking for that. And I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. In the 50s, you just did the fucking job and you didn't give a shit about, you came home, you didn't talk about work, and you did your thing. It's totally different work ethics going on. So I don't know what that is. Everything you do on the job isn't yours. That's another true. Unless it's your own company. Absolutely. The idea of only taking in the jobs that I find interesting and enriching. But Mac, you are an independent contractor. So this, what we need to, it is Simon. Yeah. You got me. Yeah. Simon Sinek. He's the one who talks about it. I don't know if he's an authority or not, but he talks about it a lot. So yeah, That's the millennial way. Yeah, there's a lot of people. So you know what? Let's table that conversation. Let's have kind of like a fireside chat about that sometime, because I think that's a really important thing to talk about. That spans generations, and we have a lot of generational representation here. And I would really like to talk about that. About the idea of fulfillment and where are you going for it, and is it a part of your job? And I think it's a really big topic, and frankly, it affects a lot of people that are in sort of the Twitch demographic, because they're trying to figure that out, and I think it would be fun to talk about. Mac probably would be asleep during that time though, so I don't know if we could do it with everybody here. I would really like to have people like Mac on that conversation who are independently employed, and they're kind of the one end. Fun fact: I'm technically one of the oldest millennials. I was born in the first year of them. Yeah, I was. We were just looking at the chart today, and I was like, "There's no word for the '80s generation. I'm the '80s generation, right?" Because apparently, like grunge music is Gen X. I'm like, grunge came out when I was in college. What about all the '80s stuff? So generations are generations. So I'm going to drop this right now. Thank you for that. Yeah, MacGyver's an embedded engineer. You should talk all about that. You guys keep talking to each other. I am going to drop the stream though, so that I can retitle it. Actually, I don't even need to drop the stream. I can keep it going. I'll just put music on, and I'll drop this recording. How's that? So YouTubers, stay tuned for the next one.